It's happening. Immigrants are being detained at their green card interviews. This is happening all over the country. In this picture, from USCIS official Instagram and Facebook account, 10 immigrants were detained in Florida.
According to Newsbreak, between February and June 2025, U.S. Customs and Border Protection deemed 1,484 green card holders inadmissible at airports and land ports of entry. Even if they're lawful permanent residents coming back from an international trip, immigration laws can still block their entry if they've stayed abroad too long, didn't renew their status, or have certain offenses on record. As a result, many received notices to appear in immigration court, while others were paroled, deported, or chose to give up their green cards voluntarily. American immigration attorney Latoya McBean-Pompey described how USCIS's tone toward green card holders changed in 2025.
Green card holders, because you need to be aware of what is going on. USCIS is starting to look like, sound like, and feel like ICE, an enforcement agency. USCIS traditionally is supposed to be an agency that issues benefits, makes a decision about a green card application or citizenship or work permit or asylum, like the Social Security Administration. You submit an application to them, they look at the application, and they make a decision about your case, and that's it. But now they are very, very different. They are looking to be enforcers, aggressors with immigration.
USCIS began making its new stance public in April, starting with a pair of social media statements. On April 29, 2025, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services posted,
"That poses a threat to our nation and our way of life," and there's a big image that says green cards and visas are a privilege, not a right. So they are directing this to green card holders as well as visa holders. We already know it's a privilege. No one is saying that it's not a privilege. It's a privilege. But to call permanent residents guests, that signals to me that their philosophy about green card holders has shifted, number one. And number two, they see green card holders as almost like temporary visa holders. You're here temporarily. You're a guest. Guests do not remain long-term.
On April 30th, USCIS issued a second post stating,
"The big image, green card holders and visas will be revoked if an alien breaks the law." Revoked. Why do they continue to pair green card holders with visa holders?
In a Fox News interview, Vice President J.D. Vance spoke out in support of the tougher approach.
And to me, yes, it's about national security, but it's also more importantly about who do we, as an American public, decide gets to join our national community. And if the Secretary of State and the President decide this person shouldn't be in America and they have no legal right to stay here, it's as simple as that.
In early 2025, updated enforcement priorities were introduced under the Trump administration, which changed how border officers handle returning green card holders. As a result, officers were instructed to take a closer look at those coming back, particularly if they had unresolved legal issues, expired conditional status, or had spent extended periods outside the U.S. Depending on the specifics of each case, individuals found inadmissible face different consequences, ranging from longer questioning at the border to formal processing by immigration authorities. Although the authority under Section 212 of the Immigration and Nationality Act has existed for years, immigration lawyers say CBP officers began applying it much more aggressively in 2025. Under this statute, border officers have the authority to deny re-entry or even start removal proceedings against certain individuals. Take the case of Llewellyn Dixon, a longtime Filipino U.S. resident and lab worker who was detained by ICE at Seattle-Tacoma Airport after returning from a trip to the Philippines.
And she was there for like a couple weeks, and then she returned February 28th. And she was stuck in customs.
Dixon's niece, Emily Cristobal, says she remained in limbo for 4 days, and then...
When we got the news, I think it was like March 2nd, that she got taken by ICE and then detained in the Northwestern detainment facility. And we haven't been officially been told why she's being held. They just keep saying that they're waiting for documents.
They have waited months for her release.
Thank you everyone for your support and your understanding.
Dixon didn't mince words about her experience inside the detention center, echoing what immigrant advocates have suspected about the facility reaching capacity.
It was horrific. It was awful. It is crowded, super crowded.
Dixon was arrested because she was convicted of bank embezzlement in 2001, something her attorney says has been overlooked in prior administrations.
He had something that happened 25 years ago and she's eligible to naturalize. You don't typically see this heavy of enforcement.
On July 21, 2025, Tai Hong Will Kim, a researcher at Texas A&M and green card holder, was detained at San Francisco International Airport after returning from his brother's wedding in South Korea. He was held for over a week, forced to sleep in a chair and survive on airport food, before being moved to an ICE detention facility in Arizona. Customs and Border Protection clarified that any green card holder with a drug-related offense could be considered in violation of their legal status and subject to detention. In Kim's case, his attorneys explained that he was charged back in 2011 with misdemeanor marijuana possession in Texas, where recreational use is still illegal. Similarly, Chris Landry, a green card holder, was stopped at the Maine border in July while returning from a family vacation in Canada.
I'm a legal resident green card holder. I have been since 1981.
Chris Landry has lived in New Hampshire since he was 3 years old. He has a partner, 5 children, and a job in manufacturing.
They pulled me aside and started questioning me about my past convictions in New Hampshire.
3 hours later, the 46-year-old was told he couldn't come home despite having a green card and being a legal U.S. resident. He spoke to us from New Brunswick, Canada.
They denied me re-entry and said, don't come back or we will detain you. And the only way for me to get back in was to see an immigration judge.
Fabian Schmidt, also a green card holder originally from Germany, was detained by Customs and Border Protection agents over a decade-old drug possession charge when he returned to the U.S. after a trip abroad. His case is another example of how even old offenses can trigger serious consequences under the updated enforcement policies.
Born in Germany, Schmidt moved to the U.S. when he was 16 and later became an electrical engineer. He now lives with his fiancée in Nashua, New Hampshire. Schmidt says the drugs were not his. His other old misdemeanors, including a DUI, were not cited in his removal proceedings.
They told me they had a flag on my green card that I was inadmissible at the time, and they wouldn't tell me why.
He says officers strip searched him in a holding area at the airport.
Pat you down, it's like grab you by your scruff, slam you against the wall.
After 2 months in detention, Fabian Schmidt was finally released when a criminal court vacated his conviction due to insufficient evidence. This decision effectively removed the grounds for his deportation. Meanwhile, Mohsen Mahdawi, a green card holder and university student, faced a different but equally troubling experience. During a routine naturalization interview, he was unexpectedly detained by ICE and held for several days without any formal charges.
He's free!
A crowd of supporters cheering for Columbia University student and Palestinian activist Mohsen Mahdawi as he walked out of a Vermont courthouse today.
To President Trump and his cabinet, yes, I am not afraid of you.
A federal judge ordering his release, saying Mahdawi was not charged with a crime, did not pose a flight risk, and has been described by his community members, including those of the Jewish faith, as peaceful.
He has made a very brave decision to let me out, and this is what justice is. And for anybody who's doubting justice, this is a light of hope, a hope and faith in the justice system in America.
In May 2025, a Mexican national married to a U.S. Marine Corps veteran was also detained by ICE while attending a USCIS appointment for her green card application. Despite her husband's military service and their newborn child, she was arrested because of a years-old deportation order linked to her mother's missed immigration court hearing.
We got a letter in the mail telling her to appear for an adjustment of status interview, which we did. Kind of wish we didn't. We finished the interview, and he asked us to go wait in the lobby for paperwork regarding our next appointment, which was a ploy to get us to wait around for the ICE agents. They arrested my wife. They handcuffed her. They did let me, hug and kiss her goodbye, and they recommended I take her wedding ring just so it doesn't get stolen or lost.
Even as Marine Corps recruiters promote enlistment as a way to protect families without legal status, stricter enforcement directives have removed the deference once given to military households. Government memos show that the federal agency tasked with helping military family members gain legal status now regularly refers them for deportation. She has been in ICE custody since May 27, 2025, first in New Orleans, and now at a detention facility in Monroe, Louisiana. Department of Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin said in an emailed statement that Paula Clouat is in the country illegally and that the administration is not going to ignore the rule of law. On June 9th, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services posted a direct message on Twitter aimed at Paula, warning that ignoring an immigration judge's order to leave the U.S. is a serious mistake. Despite the warning, Paula chose to defy the order and remained in the country. Then, 7 years later, she made another risky move, applying for a green card. Hawaii State Representative Tina Grandinetti is speaking out about immigration enforcement and pushing new protections for immigrant communities.
State Representative Tina Grandinetti, who's pushing a bill to provide legal representation for immigrants in Hawaii.
The targeting of our immigrant community is not just something happening on our phones and TV screens. This is a reality that's impacting our staff, our friends, our families, and our loved ones.
People in the United States are guaranteed the right to counsel under the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution, but that applies only to criminal proceedings. And immigration proceedings are civil proceedings.
Immigration attorneys say green card holders can be deported, but it has to be for cause.
Now we're seeing more and more people who are in detention who are green card holders, and it's usually because of prior convictions.
Attorney Pompey outlined key mistakes to avoid, saying that even small errors or misunderstandings could now lead to denial or detention.
First of all, you cannot and should not file any case that is not properly prepared and not accurate and truthful and all of that. Secondly, green card holders specifically who are seeking naturalization, if you have any reason to be concerned about naturalization, speak with an immigration attorney who you can trust about whether you should pursue naturalization now. Thirdly, review all of your paperwork very carefully before you file them to immigration. This is not the time to make honest mistakes or harmless errors, right? Because they're looking for those opportunities to say, gotcha, we got you, right? And you don't want to be in that position where they try to accuse you of something that you shouldn't be accused of. But that's the framework that they're operating under now.
Widely shared TikToks show reentry denials and green card confusion, with users including clips by @mom_ocracy documenting her CBP experience and raising concerns about changing enforcement practices.
Green card holders are no longer safe. Not all of them will be deported, but many of them can be now. And under Trump's new ICE policy, the line between legal and illegal just disappeared. Legal residents, if they ever entered the U.S. unlawfully, they had a removal order in the past, they missed court or filed paperwork late, or ICE just decided they're a priority. No bond, no hearing. No release, just detention until ICE decides what to do with you.
Border officers have been applying existing rules more aggressively than before. Green card holders returning from international travel, attending USCIS appointments, or even applying for naturalization have found themselves unexpectedly detained. These cases highlight how subtle shifts in enforcement priorities can dramatically change what it means to be lawfully present in the U.S. As a result, even longtime residents are now seeking legal advice before taking routine immigration steps.